and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Recognition of guest. Eric,
Eric, if you want to come on up.
you're the only guest.
Thank you very much. I've come to understand that this gentleman does not need any introduction. He is well known. I remember when I first came to Clinton 10 years ago, that seems a long time ago, I heard about John Bird and John Bird stories from the first month that I entered the school. And I was very fortunate. I didn't have a chance to meet him until a couple years later, but now I am very privileged to work with him serving on the CRESO board. With John, and John's trying to slow down. We're trying to stop him from slowing down. He's kind of stepping out of the position of PI that he's had there before, but he's a wealth of knowledge and an amazing individual, and we'd like to recognize him tonight. Just a little background, Mr. Bird started teaching at Clinton Junior High in 1970, and if I'm not mistaken, I know that some of the members on the board actually had him as a science teacher. I think Boston, 1974.
74, I
middle
had
school
him.
science.
I had him his first year, so I broke him in.
Oh, 19, okay, good. Well, something happened right, because he stayed around for a long time, and that's good. 1990, he moved to Clinton Senior High, and he started work with a gentleman by the name of Fred Holtzclaw in 1977, and they created the summer ecology program. And Fred went on to teach at Oak Ridge, and then that's what led to the formation of CRESO, which is a joint venture between Department of Energy, Oak Ridge Schools, and Anderson County Schools. That was actually, the Clinch River Environmental Studies Organization was actually formed in 1989. John served in the role of primary investigator. The organization was a partnership with Oak Ridge, Anderson County, and Department of Energy. John unofficially retired in 2000, where he actually just took a semester off, and started working again with Denise Wilburn from 2002 to 2010 under federal projects. John served as a science liaison promoter for the district, predominantly in elementary grade bands. During his tenure as PI with CRESO, which was 1989 to 2019, John has worked with over 800 students in Anderson County, grades 6 through 12, many of whom today are working in careers that were born out of the work that was first done with John Bird and CRESO. So has had a dramatic impact on the lives of students from Anderson County schools and Oak Ridge schools. So I would like to recognize Mr. Bird today with a resolution. Resolution honoring John Bird. Whereas John Bird has served the Anderson County school system for 5 decades, wearing many hats along the way. Whereas some may know John as an environmentalist, biologist, ecologist, or researcher, but those who knew John best would characterize him as a true inspirational teacher who opens the minds of so many can learn. John has been a compass in the life of many Anderson County students, as he inspired each student with curiosity and wisdom. And whereas John began his teaching career in 1970 at Clinton Middle School, and by 1977 he co-partnered with Fred Holtzclaw to pioneer the system's summer ecology program that no doubt shaped the lives and careers of many students. And whereas in 1989, John's efforts formed what we know today as the Clinch River Environmental Studies Organization, that was carried forth a mission of providing community outreach and education through student-driven research programs and presentation. Through his work at CRESO, John has touched the lives of many students while developing a successful alliance with the Department of Energy, Oak Ridge, and Anderson County Schools. Now, therefore, be it so resolved by Anderson County School Board of Education meeting in regular session this 11th day of July 2019, that we honor the professional career of John Bird, who has given 5 decades of life to Anderson County students. The good teacher, the mediocre teacher tells, the good teacher explains, the superior teacher demonstrates, but the great teachers like John Bird inspire. So.
I wish I could follow that up with something profound. two major events happened to me. This one, and I just came from Hoskins, where I got a vanilla milkshake, and that was big for me because I'm proud to. I'm extremely proud to accept this, but not in my name, in the name of the people that I've worked with through all the years, the people at Creso that formed the staff. I'm not going to go through all their names, but I've always managed to put myself in a position where I can be around people and make me look pretty decent. And normally that's been students. And so all those hundreds of students that have come through that summer program, I think they've, you know, when Bill Burris and I, and y'all remember Dr. Bill Burris and Fred, and we all sat down to talk, one of the big goals of this program was not to make academic giants, but to bring kids together from different walks of life, different diversities. So now the program pulls in kids from not just Anderson County schools and not just Oak Ridge schools. You know, it's always been this competitive thing with sports, and I know because I was a part of that. And we were looking for a way to bring them together to solve problems. And I'm going to tell you, field work, there's a lot of problems to solve. It is not, you know, I love my physics friends, but they don't understand the variables. How do you get a 25-pound snapping turtle out of a net safely? That's a problem, you know, when you're faced with that. But the feedback I get from students is that, you know, just that experience of having to design a data sheet and organize that information and put it into a computer program where they can do a fair analysis of the data. And we really do preach ethics in a big, big way. Treating data fairly, that's something our society needs to work on from kindergarten on, because unfortunately we see a lot of data that gets twisted and misused in a lot of different ways. And so we really promote that ethics piece. And the kids that we have that have eventually published papers, a lot of times prior to them doing graduate work, because we have these huge databases, they understand that ethics pretty well when they leave the program. And so we're really proud of that piece of it. There's a lot of pieces that we're proud of, but you know, at some point along the way, I know y'all don't have anything else to do, I will just be delighted to come in and give you an overview with slides. Pictures tell a whole lot more, and so you can really see where we've headed with the program. Right now, we work with one of about 150 wildlife disease vets. He comes down from the University of Illinois, and we've been looking at these emergent diseases in amphibians, like rhinovirus and amphibians and rhinovirus and box turtles, and snake fungal disease. I guess some people wish that all snakes would get a fungal disease, but we find them pretty fascinating critters. And guess what the #1 most popular project is? It's looking at the assemblage of snakes and looking at their health. Kids really find that to be intriguing, and it is a serious issue with some of these emergent diseases. So being a little more prepared and having something a little more structured and show you some of the things that we're trying to do with this program might be, you know, can I do it in 20 minutes? I doubt it, but I could try. Dr. Burrow, I could try to do it in 20 minutes. You've never known me to do anything in 20 minutes, but I could try. But anyway, I do accept this, but only in the name of all those great students and all those great people I've worked with, okay? And I've always had good support from both boards, Oak Ridge Board and Anderson County Board. All these years, you know, everybody's backed it. And sometimes it's hard to get them all in the same room together, but everybody's backed it, and I appreciate that.
We'll actually be in the field tomorrow morning, 8 o'clock.
You're invited to come.
We're doing a box turtle.
No, we're doing aquatic turtles tomorrow.
Aquatic turtles.
Aquatic turtles, and it's a great project because we get a lot of data. We've been doing it since 2007, and you get a lot of data fast. So kids get some material to work with their very first year because we catch so many turtles. And some of those turtles actually weigh a normal amount. They're not as full of mercury as you think they do.
Thank you.
Persons to be heard. Being none, approval of the agenda.
So moved.
Mr. Chairman, do we need to add that resolution to the consent agenda?
Yes.
What's that?
We'll need to vote on it, yes.
Do we need to vote or can we, well, we.
Motion section, approval of the agenda.
Well, wait a minute.
He wants to add the resolution to the approval of the consent agenda.
The one we just did, the resolution for
Okay.
Mr. Byrd needs to be.
I need to add that in my motion.
Sure.
So move we approve the consent agenda and add the resolution for John Byrd.
All in favor of the agenda and the amendment? Say aye. All opposed, no. Motion carries. Approval of the consent agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Moving second to approve the consent agenda. Discussion? Not all in favor, say aye. All opposed, no. Motion carries. Executive approval, again, there was none this month. Comments from the chair. We had a note from Joe concerning the board retreat or joint venture. Joe?
I talked with Tammy Grissom from TSBA, and the only weekend that she can come up here will be August the 30th and 31st, and of course, that is Labor Day weekend. So the question is, do we want to ask her to come, or do we not want her to come?
See, we could always do it, if you can't come that week, we could always do it in January or February like we've done
Yeah,
before.
it's,
January, February works easier for me because of volleyball season. I'll be at the tournament that weekend. And I think we're closer to budget. In the past, we've always done it then because it let us.
and she might be able to get more boards to join us then.
Yeah, I would prefer January, February also, as opposed
I
to
don't think
Labor Day
that
weekend.
she will object at all, because they're pretty well booked up with September being fall district meeting and such, so.
But if we could shoot for Labor Day weekend and have a retreat like we used to, where we discuss the budget and work, begin to start on the budget
Next year's.
anyway.
Yeah,
That would be my,
I'll
What's
get
the-
back, I'll get back with her and tell her we would prefer to wait till early
what's the
winter.
board consensus? Is January, February agreeable with everybody? Joe, let's shoot for a weekend and
I'll get back with her.
Thank you, Joe.
You're welcome,
Here it is.
no problem.
that's really all I have. The, district meeting is, I don't have my calendar. Tam, you remember?
September the 6th.
It's in Maryville,
Yeah, I'll be on vacation, I know that, I'm leaving the 14th.
17th.
The 17th.
Scott, you got it?
yeah, Tuesday the 17th.
Tuesday, September 17th.
And we've already registered everybody for
Well,
that.
we will have another meeting before then, so
Yeah.
we can arrange transportation that time.
Yeah.
Being in Maryville, it's relatively easy to get to.
Yeah.
That's really all I have. Director's report.
Just a couple of things. I had asked, as you know, we've been working with budget, and I'll go into that in just a minute, but I'd ask, and some people have said, you know, how many of our staff really live in Anderson County? And so I had our HR director, I had her take care of that and do some things. So there's some places that are kind of on the edge of Knox County, because, you know, some of people live in Powell, they live in Knox County, some of Powell's in Anderson County, same way with some Rome and Morgan County. But if you look at putting those into Anderson County, 72.2% of our 1,030-something employees live in Anderson County. That comes to 782 people. The biggest one, there's about 200 that live in Knox County, and the rest of the counties, Campbell County, there's 47 live in Anderson, in Campbell County, and then there's 14 that live in Blount County and 6 live in Scott County. But as overall, we're almost 75% of our employees live in Anderson County. If you look at our classified, it's upwards of 85 to almost 90% of those. So that was one of the things. As of today, it could have changed. We have almost everybody hired. They're interviewing for assistant principal position at Clinton Middle School. That one, hopefully tomorrow, they will finish up interviews there and they will send me a recommendation. I think at last count, we were up to a little over 30 new hires in teachers, 35. And then our classified employees was, I think, 16, and that fluctuates, but things like that. The ESG project, if you want to ask Clay some things about that, but I think when Clay have talked about that, it's right on schedule. I think everything's going well. They have talked about at Anderson County, if all the air conditioners are not working, they'll make sure that they'll start working night shift once we go back to school. But we're excited about the things that they're putting in. If you go by there, the whole parking lot's full of air conditioning. All of the lighting is complete, I think. They're working on installing all of our safety features. So we will be working on that, and I'm really excited about that project. We've started getting our state test scores for this year, and they're still embargoed, but I am excited. That's all I will say. I'll lose my job if I say any more, but I am excited. I think we've been working our plan, and you will be excited too.
When will they be released?
Is that too much? No, I know. I just can't help. We've been working this plan for going on 4 years, and I'm just thinking, it's exciting. And I think that doing some things.
And Joe had asked when the embargo is lifted.
We really don't know. It's going to be sometimes it's not till October. So
It's been as late as November.
November, yeah.
Good Lord, you may explode before then.
I know it. I might. Well, we've got some. August the 9th. So we may get it. I may get it. Yeah. So anyway, as for our teachers and all of our people, some of them got paid today, and the 2% raise was in there. Everything is on track. With that, I've been, as you know, the county commission voted to give us 6 cents on the tax increase to go for capital projects, and we in turn is cutting our budget. I've talked to different commissioners and things like that, and I'm not sure where it's going to go. Me and Jim have really looked at the budget. I think that if something comes back less than 6 cents, there's some things we'll have to put off. But I think any less, if we get 5 cents, then we don't have to cut anything. We don't have to push anything down the road. If we get 4 cents, there's some things that we're going to have to go back and cut. And I don't want to do that, but I think that I need some input from you all, because you all have a budget, and I've been asked something about, what can I tell county commission? Well, I kind of need some guidance on that, what you all would like me to do with that, because Monday night they say they're going to vote on a budget, and I don't want them to say, well, if we can't give the school 6 cents, we're going to go back to budget and things like that, because right now they're still holding a lot of our POs because we don't have a budget.
I think the best thing that you have done since you've been here is to come up with a long-term plan to eliminate debt. If the problem that we've got financially in the county is that they have continually kicked the can down the road, and your debt service balloons so high that it eats into your budget. And that's not anything we control. And when you came up with that 10-year plan to get us out of debt, it hurts a little bit at the first couple, 3 years, and Scott's talked about this since he's been on the board. Once you get the debt service paid off, you're not paying that interest anymore, and it's more money we have. And I think having money set aside for capital outlay, I would not consider borrowing money to build a new school until we get our debt service paid off. and then build up money in capital outlay for repair projects, for roofs. It's gonna hurt, but if the county is gonna take the position that it's better to get, you know, a reelection sign that says, I voted no new taxes, I think we stay our course that goes, you know, we're managing and being stewards of our money, and we're gonna eliminate debt. And you all, you know, have made a choice to not fund these extra programs. I mean, that, me as one board member, that would be my preference, is get us out of debt, follow the plan that you've set. You're the only one that's got a plan to get them out of debt of the other departments, and that'll give us more money in the long haul.
Well, as everybody's aware, the mayor has vetoed the budget, so they have to go back Monday night and vote to override the budget. My feeling right now, from talking to people, is they don't have the votes to override it. If we can come up with 5 or 6 cents, I would be happy as a lark. Because I think if it goes back to the budget committee, which if they don't override the budget, the next motion may be to send it back to budget. I think if it goes back to budget, we'll be in real trouble. That's just my opinion. From talking to the commissioners,
But if you, I'm sorry. but You have to, and again, I'm gonna come back with something that Scott, when he first came on the board, talked about, you know, balancing the budget and the importance of it. And Tim really took that to heart. When we hired him, that was one of his selling points, was getting out of our debt service. We are not a funding entity. The public, you know, we get misconstrued sometimes in the media, like we were the ones that went over there and asked for a tax increase. That tax increase was talked about without us submitting anything. I mean, we don't raise taxes, we don't collect taxes, we don't do anything with it. We take the money they give, we give requests of what we want to do. If they want to give us 0, that's 100% the county commission's call. But I'm not going to be vilified by saying, you know, we're going to make strong fiscal decisions that will pay a benefit for my grandchildren, let alone my children. And if it means we have to discuss closing a school to consolidate, we do that. That's our job, to make those calls. If it means saying SRO officers are gonna have to go by the way of the dodo and let the sheriff do it, that's there. We have made our request. I don't know if we need to go back and say we need to do anything else, because that makes our first request look insincere. And I think we made an honest request of what we thought we needed to continue to go forward. And if the ball's in their court, and I wouldn't change a thing. But I don't want to get away from eliminating our debt and building up our capital outlay to protect those projects. And if that means sacrificing a school, I read something today about we had all of these buildings we could sell on Facebook. And I'm thinking, well, I don't know where a building is to sell that's sitting out there. I mean, stuff like that takes on a life of its own. And if we sold it, we don't get the money anyway. That's money that's going to go back to the county. It doesn't come to the schools. But this wasn't our request for a tax increase. Our request was for a budget increase, and then they can fund it. And then all of a sudden, everybody wants to go, well, we got to have a tax increase to pay for the schools. That's not a true statement. You did not go over there and ask for a tax increase, did you? No, you presented
I asked
our
him for
budget.
8 cents on the budget.
Yeah, and you know, how they find the money, they can take away from other programs, but I don't think we change anything that we asked for, because we sent a need-based document.
I think with that, I do believe, I mean, we've got $1.4 million worth of improvements we have to do this year. And I mean, with the 6 cents, there's some of them we can push down the road. And I think that we can make do with that. I think that's a good deal. But I'm also, I guess I'm kind of like Dr. Burrow too, is I don't want to get nothing too. Does that make sense? I know that maybe is not the right word to say, but everybody has said that anything over 10 cents, the mayor's going to veto.
But again, they made a decision to change the Financial Management Act. We don't fund anything. We don't have the ability to do anything but make requests. and they're gonna give us what they wanna give us anyway. And I think it's very insincere for them to say, well, come back now with 4 cents or 3 cents. The sheriff did that, and they bumped his back up. He came back down to 4 cents, and they said, well, now let's go ahead and give you 8 cents. Anyway, there are political agendas, and if we're gonna be a county that runs every 4 years on the idea of, I voted no taxes, I vetoed the taxes, that's fine. They can do that, but there's gonna be an understanding that the public services are gonna be cut. I mean, you can't operate a government this way. And we have 3 systems. Our county feeds we have 3 director of schools. Our state money gets diluted 3 ways. It is what it is. Nobody goes over there and mentions, well, let's close one of the municipal school systems. That give influx. So we submitted a fair budget. We didn't overreach. We didn't ask for anything. Tell them to figure out a way to fund that budget without doing a tax increase by cutting some of the other programs. And it's not fair for our teachers to go without a raise every year when the county employees are getting a raise. And I think we all voted 8-0 to give them a 2% raise, and I think that was the right thing to do. And I'd vote for it again today.
Well, my understanding is the raise is already in there.
Yeah, but that's you get thrown back at us. Well,
I also understand, talking to Jim and Tim, that with 5 or 6 cents, we can balance the budget where it is. I just don't want them to come back and say, well, balance your budget, we're not gonna give you anything. Balance your budget out of the undesignated reserve.
No, we just say no.
And I would
If
not.
you say no, what do you do?
But here's what happens.
Okay.
It's no different than we've become this culture to where you want everything, but you don't want to pay for anything, or they want to provide it. If they come back and say, we're not going to give you any money, okay, well, we've got to cut these things. And we'll give you, because we have to balance the budget. We don't have the ability not to balance the budget. And then when the parents go, well, why aren't we having this service or this service anymore? We go, look, we were given X amount of money, we feed as many people as we can. We don't have loaves and fishes that we can recreate. I threw that one in for you, Scott. So.
No, I agree. I think you're right. We haven't asked for anything we don't need, and there's no fat in this budget. And I mean, do we have some funds that we could fund some of these things if we don't get the money? Yes, we do, but that's because we've been good financial stewards, and we've got a plan, and we've worked that plan. Just like they messed us over with our 1-to-1, their commitment there, and we had to cough up $200,000 that we hadn't planned to cough up. So yeah, we can do that because we're it's like when your water heater goes out and you've got money in the bank to pay for it. It's because it's not because you're squandering. It's because you planned and you've got some money back. So that's what we've done. And so if they come back with 0, we'll have school this fall.
We're gonna
one
have
way or
school.
the other. But
Yeah, but we will go back and balance the budget out of undesignated
No, we will
reserve.
not. No, we will not.
For it.
And we'll be right back where we
I won't,
started
I'll
5
vote
years
to
ago.
cut programs before I do that.
Yeah.
I'm not going back down the zeroing us out.
Yeah, I agree
And
with that.
I'm not going back from Tim's plan of getting us out of debt in 10 years. This is a national problem, not just a local problem, and it's easy to run and get elected and say no new taxes, but it's unrealistic.
Yeah.
But if we don't control the money we get, and if they say we're not giving you any more money, we'll make it work.
I think people don't know the problems that we have. We don't whine enough about them. But, when you have 17 schools, and several of them are, in the 50s and 60s when they were built. And a roof doesn't cost $8,000 like it does for a home. The roof at Anderson County High School cost $1 million. And you can't find that kind of money anywhere, in your reserve or anywhere else. We have to have some monies to help offset some of these things and be able to save some of that money when we do. Because you do have to replace these roofs every 20 years. We're paying for the air conditioning at Anderson County High School. How much was that, Clay?
1.4.
The air conditioning in Anderson County High School? Couple $1 million?
Just shy of $2 million.
And, you know, we borrowed money and we're paying for it out of our money with BEAT money. We didn't, it's not a tax thing.
Yeah.
So if, I would, 8 cents was a great idea. 6 was tolerable. 5 keeps us from cutting, but if it's below 5, I'd whine a long time, Dr. Parrott, and.
If it's below 5, you're gonna cut programs.
Yeah, and we just need to, I hope that you'll, impress that upon them, and explain to them that we have to have these kind of monies, or we're gonna be over there in 2 or 3 years, needing to borrow 10 more million. And
Well-
this time, we won't be able to pay for it. They're
Well,
gonna have to
I'm
raise
gonna
taxes.
ask them, if we talk before the commission, I'm gonna ask them to honor their commitment that they did a week and a half ago that gave us the 6 cents.
Right.
Is what I'm gonna ask them to do.
Well, you know, I think the county commission knows what it costs to do things that we have to have done, like roofs. But the public that is putting all the pressure on those county commissioners have no clue. I probably shouldn't say that. They're not as aware of what things cost, like the cost of a roof on a school. All they see is teacher salaries. That's all they think about is teacher salaries, which that's way lower than it should be to start with. So, but that's all they look at is teacher salaries. If you read, you know, on social media, that's all they talk about is the teacher salary. They don't look at how we run the system. And they're putting the pressure on them, bad, really bad.
Like me and Scott talked about the other day, there's nothing more important than education in your county or your city, either one. It's the most important thing, is the future of our children. And you have to pay for these things. Like Andy was talking about, things are not cheap. Things go up each year, and I don't know that anybody wants their taxes raised. I don't particularly want mine raised. But we have to, and you have to maintain a good school system. And we have a good school system. You're showing that with your numbers, graduation rate, and many more things. So, and teachers deserve, that's a minimal raise, 2%. A lot of places are giving 3 and 4%. So
38.
I think that getting it out there, and Dr. Parritt's doing a good job, is keep on letting them know what a good school system we have, and it takes a lot to fund it.
But I think it needs to be said, and I want to personally thank Don and Scott and Glenda. You all have no schools, no kids in your districts. You all have a municipal system that is your voting block. I've got actually 40-something% of the schools and almost 50% of our students in my district. I only have 2 county commissioners. Oak Ridge and you guys have always supported us. There's never been a vote where one of the 3 of you has ever been worried about how it's going to affect you in your district, even though you have no constituents that really benefit from the county schools. And that says a lot about your individual character. We've had commissioners on the commission from Oak Ridge that have said the same thing. They've come in and have always been with
Supportive of
us.
our school system.
I think that the guys in, you know, Andy's district and Johnny's district and my district that have all of the schools and the students really need to be talking to these parents and going, look, what we're doing, we present a great product. I mean, you look at the closest comparison would be Blount County, because they have Maryville City and Alcoa City in their system, and they're gone. I mean, Blount County is a system nobody would send their kids to. We thrive. We are a fantastic rural school system. I mean, I would put us up with anybody, and, you know, it's to be commended, and yet, anytime the word tax increase comes up, it's the schools as opposed to, well, no, we've asked for an increase of our budget, find it from some other program that you can cut over there, and don't do a tax increase. It's not an either or. They can give us 8 cents or 6 cents, not have a tax increase, and cut from programs that can be cut. But they don't say it that way.
They're not gonna do that.
Well,
way.
no, because that's their salaries, that's their jobs, that's their people. But you know, our constituents are actually mothers and fathers of children that go to our schools. And it's not an either or. If they did the fiscal management that Tim is doing with the plan, and like Scott said, being good stewards, you know, we had our water heater money set back, but we're not, I will never vote again to go into the undesignated reserve to balance.
Well, me either.
I think that was dangerous and we survived it, but.
Well, we went from a $1.7 million deficit to this last year, we had a little over $5 million in there. Now, we use $1 million of it because we need things, you know,
Sure.
we're always gonna do, I mean, we don't have enough money for textbooks, we're gonna have to use some undesignated. But the thing is, it's in there. And if we have a catastrophic, we have a school that the roof gets blown off and we gotta have $3 million right then to build it, we may get it back in insurance, but we've got $3 million to do it, and that's what, I mean, the state says we need at least 6 million at any time in our undesignated. That way we don't have to do a tax anticipation note. That saves us what, Jim, $50,000 or more?
Oh, yeah.
You know, so those are all things we need to do. And at some point, I would hope that we can pay down, just because that debt is $2 million a year, doesn't mean every now and then we couldn't pay 2.5 million on it and pay it off early. I'm trying to pay my house off early right now, you know?
But that's the mentality. The next time, we're gonna have to build a school.
Yes.
At some point, and how nice would it be to be able to go, we don't have to borrow any money, we put the money back and now borrowed the school. Think about how much tax dollars you've saved for a generation.
Yes.
But we're culturally not geared up to do that anymore. It's like finance it, push it off till somebody else's problem.
Well, Teresa's right, though. The public do not understand. All the commissioners were talking about the calls they got the day after they passed the budget, and they were all negative. What's that radio say?
WYSH.
YSH, ask your neighbor.
Ask your neighbor. They said, ask your neighbor wore them out for 2 days.
Yep.
But that mentality is not changing.
Nope.
But I was at a meeting at Norris Museum of Appalachia that had about 40 people in it, and we only had one person that objected to the tax increase. And that's a public meeting, 40 people show up, and there's one voice. Any nut can sit around that's not working and go, yeah, I'm gonna call in the radio station and complain about something. I don't want my taxes right. You know, just like these, you know, sending the anonymous letters. The people that I have talked to in my district, and again, we have the schools there, we have the students, they want the voice. They want their schools to be taken care of. It is important to them. And they asked me, you know, why, you know, is this such a big issue? And I go, well, talk to your 2 commissioners. I mean, it's not an issue with us. We didn't create it. We have a plan, and I want to stick with our plan.
Well, that's what we'll do. We'll stick
There
with
you
the
go.
plan.
Got your answer.
And I really appreciate the input from that. On just the last thing is we had our first our leadership meeting, and we've kind of started going over our 5-year strategic plan. And I'm telling you, it's like a playbook. Everything in there we're doing. And we're getting closer to marking that off and moving something on and putting something else on it. So I'm excited, and I just wanted to kind of publicly say, I work with the best group of professionals that any person could work with. The reason I get to do what I do is because all these people sitting out in this audience, they work tirelessly day in and day out. Our principals, our teachers. I mean, I go by schools right now, and there's no air conditioning in half of our schools because they're working on it. Our teachers are in the building getting their classrooms ready. So just to say that, well, they just work 10 months out of the year and they're off, that's.
That's bull.
That ship has sailed.
I was gonna say that, but I was gonna say it in a different
Bull.
way. But I think that we have a great school system, but we need to improve.
You were nicer than I was.
I think we're too much, I think we're still too far in
on
debt.
TV.
If Jim and Andy, they were there when we were working on this ESG project, if there was any other way to do it, I wouldn't have borrowed the money. But when you get so far down the road, when you're sitting there and you need $5 million worth of air conditioning, there's only one way to get it, and that's to borrow money, and that's what we don't want to do again. And as long as I'm director of schools, something bad may happen, but I won't come back and ask you for that. I'll make sure that we do the right thing. But we also need to put money back for our teachers, our supplies, and all of those things. So, you know, every year, Mr. Woodward and his staff goes through that line by line, and we've cut some things. There's some things that, just because we did it last year doesn't mean we do it this year. But on the other end, I don't want to get penalized because we come back and they say, well, you've got too much money and you're undesignated. Well, I can put it all in a budget and spend it, but then we don't have anything else to do those things with. So, no, I appreciate that, and
I'm like Dale, I will not vote again to balance the budget out of undesignated reserve.
Yep.
I think that's just digging a hole, and
if we don't have enough money, Jim will have to foot the bills, what I'm thinking.
You probably are not prepared to say so, but what programs could we cut?
Well,
And
there.
I'm not sure you want to say that right now. so.
You know, we just have to go back and look at it and see what we had to do. You know, this is one thing that people don't realize. It doesn't matter, there was a school system close to us, and their board said, we want to have the same programs in every high school. And it was gonna take 22 teachers to put the same programs in every high school. In Anderson County Schools, we got the same programs in every high school. We've got the same programs in every elementary school. We've got an art teacher, a music teacher, a technology teacher, a PE teacher. Those things don't come, counselors, those things don't just come by, because what happens, those are usually the first things that get cut. But when you start cutting those things, then you become a minimum school system, and I don't want to do that. So my thing would be is, you know, you look at the $10,000 we send to schools every year. You've cut. We used to get a packet of things that the schools needed every year. Just the little things that maintenance couldn't take care of, and we couldn't take care of. I mean, it's down. Some schools don't send us anything because that takes care of, it's site-based management, and they're frugal with that money. So I don't want to see us cut anything. I don't want to see us cut academics. I surely don't want to see us cut like a band program or music. I mean,
Look how great our choral program.
yeah, our choral program is going to the state, TSBA, and the closing ceremony. That's one of, out of, 126 school districts, we're the one that,
95?
yeah, 195, we're the one that they're coming to, so.
And they don't think about, you figure in the last 3 to 4 years, our community raised over $1 million to improve the athletic facilities at Anderson County High School at no cost to the taxpayer.
Yep.
That wasn't, you know, because I've had that said, well, look, you know, you put money into that, often we put a dime into
Nope.
those. Like those fellows with baseball that came the other night,
Yep.
they didn't ask us for a nickel. They
Nope.
just asked for permission to do the work themselves. I mean, we've got
Yeah.
parents that
And
are
they-
donating
And they
time.
did that up at the Anderson County field, there's a lot of work.
The softball field, the football field, the soccer, all of them, that's money that these guys are putting their time, their money, the teachers and coaches are organizing it, the maintenance is supervising it, costs the taxpayer zero.
Yes, yep, and like you say is, you know, Clinton, that, an indoor facility,
Yeah.
you've got those things, you got all of these things out there that are, they're amazing, and we still, our teachers, they still make $8,000 to $10,000 less than other schools, but they want to be in our school system because we care about them. We care about what they do. We care about them. We're a big family, and I think that that's the one thing that about this whole thing that this is the first one that I've really been through. It's the first one that I've had a lot of hateful things said to me about people in the school system, about us and about what we're doing and how we're going to take food out of people's mouths and everything like that. And that to me is not hurtful, because a lot of them do it, like you say, on social media. I'm not on social media, I'm on Twitter, but I'm not on social media. But you know, I can assure you that every person that's come to me and come in my office They've asked me, why are you wanting to do this? I pulled the plan out, because we do, we got a 5 and a 10-year plan. Here it is in black and white, and it makes them understand, and when they leave, they say, I support you in that. And I think that's what we have to do is I do not fly by the seat of my pants. If I did, you all wouldn't have me as a director. And I wanna make sure that the things that we make, we're methodical about those, everything we do. And we shouldn't get penalized when we show them the plan, I guess, or we shouldn't get the word's not screwed, we get run through the ringer. That's all I have, Dr. Burrow.
Could I say something else and follow up with what Teresa said about teacher salaries? We hear all this about they make this X amount of dollars, and then they come back and they talk about our directors and what the directors make. What they don't understand is a teacher is paid for 200 days. Directors are paid for 261 days. Now, you add 61 days on a teacher's salary, and that's a heck of a lot of money.
Yep.
They do get a stipend, but it's not out of this world.
No.
And people don't realize that when they're talking about how much the directors make. They just can't see that. And then another thing, so many of our teachers have advanced degrees. They don't just stop at a bachelor's or a master's. They'll go on and get, and we have a few doctor's degrees. We have a lot of ed specialists. Now, I know for a fact that it costs over $14,000 to get an EDS from LMU. That's not counting the books and the time you put in it. So they're not overpaid in my book. And I think that it's time that the public is made aware of that.
That's all I have, Dr. Burrow.
Just remember, Monday night commission meeting, they will vote to uphold or override the mayor's veto, so it sure would help.
Dr. Burke, can I say one other thing? Because Tim touched me on something. I think these county commissioners are very good men and women. I don't have any animosity, and I think they are genuinely trying to do the right thing in a very tough situation, because just like Tim is getting put through the ringer, I'm sure their phone is ringing off the hook. And
Yes.
even the ones that don't vote for us,
Yeah.
I know most of these guys. Andy's, knows them, Scott knows them. These are good men and women. And I don't want our teachers or our parents to be throwing them under the bus. I don't want the mayor to be thrown under the bus. These people, it's hard to do what we do in public service. And, I know I've known Tracy Wandell my entire life, and you won't find a better man than Tracy Wandell. He's against this tax increase, but that's his right, and he supports his constituency, and he is a good schoolman. He has been in our corner at times, and I just don't want to get in a situation where we're criticizing them or putting them down because we don't live in their shoes. These are good people, good folks, doing their job to the best of their ability to do it. We have a disagreement of philosophies, but we can be civil with them and respect their decision.
Anything else?
That's nothing for me.
Okay. Committee reports.
Budget
Budget committee?
Budget met Monday night, now that it's 20 after, right? A little behind. Oh, well. Budget committee met Monday night, and it being the beginning of the fiscal year, we didn't have any transfers, but we have all the budget appropriations. So we approved the general budget, $60 million plus, the cafeteria fund, $3 million plus, then Voc Rehab, the Individual Disabilities Education Act, also the Gear Up grants, parts 1 and 2. So those, and also the Carl Perkins for career and technical. So all of those came before us Monday night and were approved. I will add to those, so I would move that we go ahead and approve those. So we have 4 more tonight that have come in. Those those are items I, J, K, and L on your budget report. They're all, grant allocations that are normal, administration budget, Title I, Part A, and Title II monies. So you have those there in front of you. Those were not discussed, but I will include those in our motion to, that the board approve all of those 1A through 1L.
Second.
Motion made and seconded.
Motion made and seconded to approve, appropriations 1A through 1L. Discussion. Not, roll call vote.
Mr. Bell?
Aye.
Mr. Cantrell?
Yes.
Mr. Gillen Waters?
Aye.
Ms. Landenberg?
Aye.
Mr. McCamey?
Aye.
Ms. Portwood?
Aye.
Ms. Williams?
I will vote aye, but I would like to explain that my vote has nothing to do with the fact that I have a family member employed in the school system.
And Mr. Burrow? Dr. Burrow?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Motion carries.
The next item we took up were outstanding balances for our after-school program. We have about 8 or 7 families that owe about $8,000, and we have contacted them, and we approved contacting them again with really strong words. We're hoping that they will do the right thing and pay those debts off, but that action was taken by the board. We also approved part-time contracts. Those probably need to be approved by the full board, don't
Yep,
they?
yep.
You have those in,
Contract.
you have those in front of you, the part-time contracts, and those have all been approved by the budget committee, and I move that we approve those tonight.
Second.
Motion made and seconded to approve the part-time contracts. Discussion. If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. Motion carried. Scott? There was a motion made and seconded, Monday night about having a letter sent out by the, board attorney.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah, does that need board approval, do you think?
No, I think.
I mean,
that
I didn't think it did, so that I
He's
didn't-
already sending one to
To everybody.
Right.
this year, so we
And
just
I,
asked him
in
to-
the small world category, I spoke to one of the people on the thing, and he swore to me he did not know that his ex-wife had gotten the thing, and he was gonna call the office to pay.
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
Do we don't need a
No, we
motion?
don't need
We don't, I
motion.
don't think so, no.
Are the letters going out right away?
Yes, we will get them, we will send them out next week.
So
Oh,
you can
okay.
give us a report back.
Yes.
And that is all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Yep.
Well, we were at Shoney's, and I saw him, and I said, he said, because I told him.
Building and ground. Are you through, Scott?
Yep, that's all I got.
Building and ground.
Mr. Chairman, we met Monday night, the Building and Grounds Committee, and we heard from Mr. Ben Dance, principal, and Corey Stooksbury, baseball coach to add to the indoor practice facility at Anderson County High School, and the project would be no cost to the school system, and I so move.
Second.
Move second, we approve the, addition to the baseball complex at Anderson County. We need to also make sure that the, maintenance department oversees that. Would you accept that amendment?
Sure would.
Okay. With that amendment, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. Motion carries.
And that's all I have, Mr. Chairman, from Building and Grounds
Good.
Committee.
One action item.
Approval of the MOU for 2019-2023 Anderson County Education Association.
Do we need to vote on that, or do they have to take it back to the committee and change the wording in that one
No.
part we found? They don't have to
It's
take
our-
it back to the
It's our
committee?
approval. The
It's
board
your
needs
all's
it. It's the
approval
board's
at the end.
approval.
We can do that, okay.
I'll make a motion that we approve the MOU that was presented from the ACEA with one minor change. We deleted two words. What was submitted was all disciplinary responses and formal reprimands will be placed in the personnel file in a timely manner. And they had included or discarded, and we removed that because we determined we did not want any files removed. And my motion is to approve it with this change.
Second.
Motion made and seconded to approve the MOU with the Anderson County Education Association with that change. Discussion. None, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. Motion carries.
Thank you all for your work on that.
That's a-
MOU.
That's been a 2 or 3 year
Two
process.
years at
Several.
least.
Yep, it's a lot of work.
Thank you, April, for your help.
Thank you for helping vote and accepting it again, we appreciate it.
April came to the meeting at the Museum of Appalachia and contributed really well.
Good.
Yes, she spoke well for us.
Anything else? Any discussion, any schedules we
Monday-
need to
Monday
make?
night.
Monday night at
Pizza
6:30.
or Monday night?
Monday night at 6:30, 6 cents.
Take 5 cents and act like it's a back
Thank you.
My essay from my level 5 portfolio.
Pretty routine, Don.
There you go, there